Greetings, welcome, and thank you for clicking. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing Company, encouraging your journey with Reiki, card reading, and coaching for life's changes, challenges, and transitions. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Ask the Stones, offering spiritual guidance and encouragement for life's challenging questions. Greetings, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Ask the Stones. Our question comes from Christine. I'm a Reiki master, and all of my friends are always asking for Reiki. I like giving Reiki, but it's feeling like too much. I'm sensitive to energy, and I think all of the energy is affecting me. How can I protect myself? Well, Christine, thank you for this question. I really appreciate this question, and I'm sure that this is one that will benefit others as well. So thanks for this great question, because this is something that does come up with Reiki practitioners and concerns over people asking for Reiki and wanting to help everyone. So this is going to be really helpful for others, Christine, so thank you. So, as far as this question of your friends asking for Reiki, I first want to say that this is wonderful that your friends appreciate your Reiki, so that they appreciate Reiki and that they appreciate that you are a Reiki practitioner. So the first thing that I'm gathering from your question is that your friends really like the fact that you are a Reiki master and that they appreciate getting Reiki. So this is a great thing. You know, what I'm saying, Christine, is that your friends aren't saying things like, oh, that Reiki thing, that weird thing that you do, Christine. They like it and they want it. So that's a good thing. What it says is that they're supportive of you as a Reiki practitioner. Wonderful. And maybe they're supportive to the point of having you feel like, I'm going to say it quite frankly, Christine, maybe you feel like you're being taken advantage of. Now, of course, that's not in your question. Those are not your words, but I'm getting the impression that maybe you're feeling like you are being taken advantage of. And you're looking for ways to protect yourself from the energy. But I'm not so sure that that's really what the issue is here, Christine. I'm not so sure that the challenge that you have is one of protecting yourself from all of the energy, so much as it is a challenge with boundaries and a challenge with barriers and a challenge with saying no. So I can tell you, Christine, lots of ways that you can go about protecting yourself from energies. As a matter of fact, I do have an Ask the Stones episode from months ago, last year, I'm not sure. I'll put it in the notes. It's an older episode in which I talk specifically about how to protect yourself from negative energy. So there are plenty of recommendations on that, and I welcome you to listen to that episode. But I am not so sure that at its core, your question, your challenge is really all about protecting yourself from the energies so much as it is about setting up barriers and saying no. You know, as a matter of fact, I actually have an Ask the Stones episode on boundaries too, so I'll put that one in the notes. That may be helpful for you as well, Christine. But I do have some encouragement for you on your situation. So don't worry. I'm not just saying, oh, listen to those old episodes. That's my answer and forget it, Christine. No, I have some encouragement for you individually as well. So first, I want to say that when it comes to this desire to help and this desire to send Reiki, I first think of Dr. Usui. And of course, for those who are not aware, Dr. Usui established Reiki in the early 1920s. And he developed Reiki as a way to help others heal themselves. So initially, Dr. Usui was offering Reiki as a way to help people heal, but people kept coming back to him and coming back to him. And so he really said, I need to offer Reiki as a way for people to heal themselves. And so Usui was then showing people and teaching people Reiki as a way for them to heal themselves because they kept coming back to him and kept coming back to him. So Reiki is really at its core a self-healing technique. And so Christine, if you are having people come back to you and come back to you for Reiki, this is actually a challenge that Usui himself faced. So your challenge is not new. It's not original to you. It goes the whole way back to Dr. Usui. So when you are challenged with this idea of people continually coming back to you for Reiki, I'm thinking that perhaps Dr. Usui had the same kind of maybe boundary challenge and the same kind of challenge maybe with even turning people away and saying to them, this is really kind of too much for me. I don't know that that's a fact, but it may very well be that Dr. Usui also had some challenges with saying no. Who knows? But Christine, what I want to encourage for you is that when you feel that you are being overtaxed with sending Reiki, and when you feel like it is too much for you, it's very important for you to recognize that and to honor that. There is nothing wrong with you as a human being if you feel like you are being taxed with your giving. The fault is not yours. And this is going to sound maybe a little radical, but the fault is not with your friends either. Because your friends appreciate, enjoy, and obviously like receiving Reiki from you. This is a good thing. And your friends are not mind readers. Your friends cannot and do not know if their asking for Reiki is taxing to you. They cannot and do not know if they are asking for too much unless, if, and when you express that. And so we could lay blame with the friends here and say, oh, your friends should know better. They're asking too much. But the truth is that we can't always know if we are asking too much of someone unless that someone is able to express that to us. Maybe for your friends, all they know is that they love receiving Reiki from you. You say yes every time. And so how can they know if this is a burden to you? They know that you say yes. They probably think that you really appreciate being able to send Reiki to them. They love receiving the Reiki. And so perhaps in their mind, there's no issue here. There's no overtaxing of you. There's no worry about you feeling overburdened or being affected by sending Reiki to them all of the time. In their mind, this is a great situation potentially in which you're doing the thing that they love, that you love, and they are the happy beneficiary of it. And so they, in their mind, may not realize that there is any kind of an issue. So when we have a challenge with feeling overburdened and taxed, sometimes there's a real tendency to blame the other person and say that they're taking advantage of you. And of course, they may very well be. They may, in their minds, know that, oh, hey, Christine, she maybe is giving away this Reiki and offering it up, and it's a lot for her. But you know what? She always says yes, and I love it, so I'm going to keep asking. Maybe they actually are indeed taking advantage of you in the way that they recognize that they're taking advantage of you, but they may not realize it, Christine. So I think it's important to pause here and recognize that your friends may not realize that they're taking advantage of you. Your friends may have no idea that this is something that is affecting you and impacting you negatively. I'm sure that your friends love you, and I'm sure that if they knew that this was impacting you negatively, that they would honor and respect your boundaries. And when it comes to boundaries, if we have friends who, once we state our boundaries, don't honor and respect them, then it's time to really take a hard look at whether or not that is a healthy relationship that we want to continue in the way that it has been going. In other words, Christine, if there are people who, once you state your boundaries and they don't respect them, that is a red flag. Be on the lookout and be aware of when that happens. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here because I really want to give you some encouragement for honoring and respecting yourself and your own Reiki journey and where you are on that Reiki journey, and the importance of honoring yourself in this process. We hear it all of the time, don't we? You have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can put on someone else's. We hear that all of the time. Or you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to fill up your own cup first. We hear that all of the time, don't we? And yet, how often do we allow our cup to be depleted? How often do we scramble to help our neighbor with their oxygen mask before we put ours on? This is something that people who are naturally drawn to helping others, like through being a Reiki master, this is something that helpers tend to do. Their identity is focused on being a helper, and so their identity is focused on watching out for others and making sure other people's needs are met before their own. It sounds to me, Christine, from your question, like this is what is happening with your Reiki experience with your friends. The Reiki is helping them. They like and enjoy it. And you, as someone who is a Reiki master, are probably already drawn to helping people, being a helper, and making sure that other people's needs are met. So taking care of others. I'm going to guess that this is something that probably you did before you were a Reiki practitioner. And so, Christine, my guess is that you are someone who is concerned about making sure that other people have their oxygen masks on before you put your own on, and that you are concerned with filling up other people's cups even while your own cup is depleted. So this may very well not be a challenge that is new to you with Reiki, and it may very well not be something that is only a part of your Reiki journey. So I want to encourage you to just notice and pay attention to other aspects of your life outside of Reiki, and ask yourself if this is the kind of experience that might be showing up in other ways in your life. Now, of course, Christine, there's no judgment, so I want to encourage you to do this without judgment of yourself, and to explore this just with a quizzical kind of mind, and to explore this just as almost in a research or investigative kind of way, and not as a judgmental, oh, there I go again, I did it, I'm doing it outside of Reiki, oh my gosh, Christian, he said maybe I'm doing this in other ways, and here I see I'm doing it here, here, and here, and oh, in the past I did it here. Bad slap on the wrist to Christine. No way. This is something that I want to encourage you to look into and to explore as a potential theme in your life, but to do so without judgment. So I want to encourage you not to judge yourself if you find this coming up in other aspects of your life too, Christine. So know that this is something that can happen with people who are oftentimes drawn to things like Reiki, where they can help people and they can be of service. And so as someone drawn to Reiki, you may very well be that kind of person who is just naturally drawn to helping others in all kinds of ways. So just do an investigation into all aspects of your life to see if this is maybe cropping up in other places and in other ways. And again, no judgment. So no judgment to yourself, of yourself, if that indeed is the case. And with the challenge at hand, Christine, I want to encourage you, no judgment, zero judgment of this challenge with Reiki and your friends and feeling overtaxed by it. You know, this is a great learning experience, Christine. Oftentimes, we cannot know what our limits are or what our boundaries are unless we rub up against them, unless sometimes even we cross them. And so what this experience is doing for you is it's giving you some real information. You know that this is a little bit too much Reiki. You know that whatever the circumstances are, this is just a little bit too much for you. And this is wonderful information to have. Once we know what too much is, then we can scale it back, and we can know what that boundary is, and we can know what it looks like when we cross it. So we can know how we feel. We can know how it affects us. You know, you say that you feel the energy is affecting you. I would encourage you to explore what that means to you. So what does it look like? What does it feel like when the energy affects you? What does too much mean to you? What does that look like? What does that feel like? So when you're sending too much Reiki, what exactly is that to you? You know, is that multiple sessions, one right after the other? Is that sessions several times a day, several times a week? Is that sessions for the same person again and again and again? Or is it for a large number of people? That's going to be different things for different people. So Christine, I want to encourage you to really explore what specifically that means to you. So when you say that it's affecting you, how is it affecting you? What is affecting you? What exactly is it that is too much? You're feeling like it's too much. Those are your words, Christine. It's feeling like too much. What exactly is that too much? See if you can sit down, think about it, and define that for yourself. Once you know what the too much is, then you can work backwards from that. So you can say, okay, what I'm doing right now obviously is too much. It's feeling like too much. Okay, so right now I am giving Reiki to my friends all day on Saturday. I'm setting up a space in my house. My friends are coming over and we're having a big Reiki party where one right after the other, I am offering sessions to them. Okay, that's too much. Great. You know that. So once you know that, you can walk back from that and say, okay, is it the fact that I'm doing, maybe you're doing 5 sessions in a row. Okay, so what if I did 4 sessions? Would that be still feeling like too much? And put yourself in that situation in your mind and see how that feels. Think about it, feel about it, try that on. You may even want to actually try that on literally with your friends and say, hey friends, we usually do 5 sessions on Saturdays, and this is leaving me feeling a bit drained on Sundays. Maybe your whole weekend is wrecked. I don't know that I want to use the term wrecked, but I think you know what I'm saying here, Christine. All day Saturday, you're offering Reiki to your friends, and then Sunday, you're feeling tired from all of the energy, or, whatever it means to you when you say like it feels too much. So maybe is 4 sessions going to be better? Or 3 sessions, or 2? Maybe spacing it out during the week, or maybe doing every other week, or whatever. But once you know what is too much, this is actually a really good thing. Yes, Christine, I am saying that it is actually a really good thing that you are feeling like it's too much. Because once you know what that too much is, great, now you know your limit. You know your boundary. And once you know the boundary, then you can set limits. And you can enforce those limits. We can't really set strong boundaries unless or until we know what our limits are. You now know what your limit is. Whatever it is that you have been doing is too much. That is a limit for you, Christine. And so now you're going to be able to set boundaries that keep you from going to this point again of too much. So, well done. Yes, well done on exceeding that limit, because now you know what that looks like, what that feels like, and you can now take action to keep from this feeling of too much and feeling overtaxed and feeling burdened by Reiki. Christine, we don't ever want Reiki to feel like a burden. Our Reiki practice, I don't like to use the word should. I'm not a person who really cares to use the word should, but I'm going to use it here, Christine. Our Reiki practice should never feel like a burden. When our Reiki practice feels like a burden, then we're no longer coming at it from a place of love and joy, one of excitement, and that impacts our experience of the Reiki and can impact the client's experience of the Reiki. You know, Reiki is a beautiful, wonderful thing. It is a gift to ourselves and it is a gift to the world. And it's important for us to recognize and honor that gift. And if there's ever a point where it feels like a burden, it feels like too much, and it doesn't feel fulfilling or joyful, that is a time when it's important for us to step back and think about it, contemplate, and make changes. Again, without judgment. So if you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't be feeling overburdened, Christian says that this is a gift and a joy, and I shouldn't be feeling overburdened. I just have to put my happy face on. Nope. No judgment, Christine. There is no judgment for your feelings about where you are on your Reiki journey. And there is no judgment if and when it doesn't feel like a joy. That's an opportunity for us to step back, reflect, make some adjustments, even take a break and take a pause. That's okay too. Your Reiki journey is your own. And so I want to encourage you to release judgment of your Reiki journey, of your feelings and experiences of your Reiki journey. So if right now it doesn't feel like love and light and joy, that's okay. Release judgment of those feelings and know that you have the power to make adjustments, including even taking a break if and when you feel called to do so. That is all okay. Of course, the Reiki attunements never leave you. You are attuned for life. And so if you take a break from Reiki, Reiki is not going to leave you. It is always already there. So if you feel the need to step back, take a break, or offer fewer sessions, that's all okay. So know that there is no judgment. Certainly Reiki is not judging you. And I do believe that one of the greatest gifts of Reiki is that it calls us to release judgment of ourselves, of our Reiki journey, of others, and in all ways. I do believe that one of the greatest gifts of Reiki is the release of judgment. So I encourage you to allow Reiki to work in your life in that magical, amazing way. So, Christine, what can you do as far as setting up those boundaries? Boundaries are very important. Boundaries signal to ourselves respect and love. And boundaries signal to others self-respect and self-love, and also love and respect for the other person. You know, when we think of setting up boundaries and saying no to people, oftentimes we feel that we feel guilt, right? We feel, oh, I feel guilty for saying no to this person. I feel guilty for not helping them. I feel guilty for not giving them this beautiful gift of Reiki that I have to offer the world. But when we say no and when we set boundaries, it is not something that we are doing to someone else. It is rather something that we are doing for ourselves. And so, Christine, when you set up boundaries around your Reiki practice, this is not something that you are doing to your friends. It is instead something that you are doing for yourself. Remember, you've got to have a full cup before you can pour into other cups. You cannot pour from an empty cup, as the common saying goes. And so when you say no, when you set barriers and boundaries, you are not saying no to someone else. You are actually saying yes to yourself. You are saying yes to your own self-care. You are saying yes to love and respect for yourself. You are saying yes to your self-worth. And so I want to encourage you to be able to say yes to yourself rather than thinking of it as a no to your friends. Now, let's say that you determine what your barriers are, your boundaries are, and you're saying, okay, yes, sending Reiki to my friends every Saturday is too much. I cannot do that anymore. Well, my question for you is, what can you do? What do you want to do? What feels good to you instead? So that when you say to your friends, hey friends, this all-day Saturday Reiki thing ain't cutting it for me anymore, this is not healthy for me, that you have an alternative for them. So that it's not a no, we're all set and done here, but rather it's a yes to something else. Now, Christine, I'm assuming here that you still want to send Reiki to your friends, that you still want to offer this to them. If the answer is no, I don't at all, Christian, I'm done with this. Once you do that self-exploration, then okay, remember, no judgment. But if you do that self-exploration and you say, yeah, I do really appreciate and enjoy sending my friends Reiki, but just not so much, then once you determine what that level of comfort is for you that feels good, to offer that to them and to offer that as an alternative. So a wonderful way for us to set boundaries with people and to walk back from behavior that really is not serving us is to offer an alternative. Maybe no longer this, but now I can do this. So friends, maybe no longer all-day Saturday sessions, but I can do this instead. This feels good to me at this time. And I also want to say that it's important, I think, Christine, to recognize that our boundaries shift and change. As we shift and change as human beings, as we learn more about ourselves, so do our boundaries and barriers and what we're okay with change. And that's okay too. And so honoring and recognizing that, I think, is also very important. And when you have this discussion with your friends, making sure to recognize that this is where you are right now is also important. And so a conversation with your friends about boundaries may go something like this. Hey, friends, right now I'm offering all-day Reiki sessions. Or fill in the blank with whatever feels too much for you at this time, Christine. Right now, the all-day Reiki sessions are too much for me. I really enjoy sending you Reiki, and right now, I think that 2 sessions on Saturday feel comfortable for me at this time? So that you're acknowledging that what you're doing right now feels like too much. You are setting up a boundary that you believe feels comfortable for you. And you are also giving yourself the honor of recognizing that that might change. It feels like that's doable for you right now. And honestly, maybe it won't be. And that's okay too. Your friends, I'm sure, will understand. Making sure to let them know that you love them, you appreciate them, and you enjoy sending them Reiki, of course, if all of this is true, and that it's important for you to honor yourself, and that you need to make sure that you are showing up in the best way possible as a Reiki practitioner in your sessions. Of course, there are other questions that come up with this question, Christine. Questions like, are you receiving any kind of, we'll call it an energy exchange from your friends? You know, are you giving and giving and giving Reiki and not receiving anything in return? Whether that's money or baked goods or foot rubs or whatever the currency might be. That's something to consider as well. You know, would you feel better about those all-day Reiki sessions if your friends were paying you? I don't know. That's something that only you can explore and answer for yourself, Christine. So I want to encourage you to do that, to think that, to think of that. And this is a conversation that you can have with your friends. You know, being open and honest about our boundaries is not a bad thing. Sometimes, let's be real, many times, we are afraid of being open about our boundaries because we are afraid of offending our friends. We are afraid of making them angry. We are afraid of their judgment. And so when we don't offer our own boundaries and when we aren't honest about them, we often put ourselves in a situation of continuing to have our boundaries transgressed and getting angry about that, and we put others in the situation of transgressing our boundaries without necessarily realizing it. Now, again, this is assuming that we're not already having this discussion with our friends, because when we have the discussion with them and we state our boundaries and they keep crossing them, then it is really time to have a hard discussion about whether or not this is a healthy relationship for you. But when we don't state our boundaries and we are afraid to be open and honest about them, and we find that our friends are continually transgressing them, well, if we're not clear about our boundaries, then the chances are higher that our boundaries are going to be transgressed. And so I want to encourage you to have this conversation with your friends, as difficult as it is. This is not easy. It's not easy to say to people, hey, I've had a boundary crossed here. I don't feel comfortable with it. Let's work on this together to come up with something that feels comfortable for both of us. That is not an easy discussion. And I want to encourage you to have it. You know, Reiki offers us so many opportunities for growth, so many opportunities for healing, so many opportunities for just increased levels of awareness meaning, and connection. And for you, Christine, this is one of those golden opportunities. Reiki is giving you a real opportunity right now for some personal growth and development. And of course, personal growth and development is never easy. So this is so not easy, Christine. Hard, hard, and hard. I want to encourage you to acknowledge that and to recognize that this is not an easy situation, and these discussions are never easy. But they are necessary for helping us to feel more respected, more worthy, more like ourselves, if that makes sense. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Christine, and say that after these Reiki sessions, when you feel like the energy is too much, I'm going to assume that it kind of throws you off your game and you don't feel like yourself. So I want to encourage you to really think about this in terms of a way for you to grow and develop and become more of who you are, to become more of yourself, to grow and develop along your Reiki journey. Always this is hard. Always this is challenging. Always it is important. And so I definitely encourage you to have the hard discussions. Not easy for sure. Of course, there is so much more to say about boundary setting, so much more to say about having these hard discussions. I do encourage you to listen in on that past episode about boundaries. And I also encourage you to listen to the past episode on protecting yourself. That I think is going to be helpful and beneficial for you. And like I said, Christine, I don't think that that is what is at the heart of your challenge here. I think what's at the heart of the challenge is being able to say no, being able to set boundaries, and quite frankly, being able to honor yourself. So definitely, please do honor yourself. Know that you are worthy of the boundaries. Know that you are worthy of the feeling great. You are worthy of feeling great about Reiki and about your Reiki journey. Very important. Wow. Well, would you believe this? That I went to shuffle the Archangel deck and out popped right into my hand 3 cards. So, Christine, I'm going to read all of these cards for you. I didn't even have to shuffle, really. Angels, they got this. So, here's what we have. First card is breathe. Always an excellent recommendation. Archangel Raphael says, take several deep breaths and exhale slowly to awaken your energy and to release old patterns. Okay, great. So what I'm getting from this card, Christine, is that, yeah, this experience that you are having may very well be a pattern for you. That this may very well be an experience that has shown up before Reiki and that may very well show up in your life in other ways. And so what I'm getting from this card is an encouragement to disrupt old patterns. And of course, the quickest way to disrupt old patterns is by breathing. The quickest way to bring in new energy and release old energy is with the breath. And so I want to encourage you to maybe do some conscious breathing at this time to help you with bringing in new energy and releasing that old energy. Release what no longer serves you. I'm just remembering now, Christine, if you don't already, I encourage you to get my life change meditation as part of my life change encouragement kit, because this meditation is specifically designed to help you release what no longer serves you. And if this is a pattern showing up in your life, it may very well be time for you to work to release that pattern. And that life change meditation may very well assist you with the releasing of this pattern. So I encourage you to check that out. Of course, the link to the Life Change Encouragement Kit, the Life Change Meditation is only one part of that big kit that I'm so excited to offer. But you can get that link in the notes to get that free Life Change Encouragement Kit and try out that Life Change Meditation. The second card that has popped out in this card of 3 is, interestingly enough, the Life Review card. Archangel Jeremiah says, take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. Now, do you know what's really interesting, Christine, is that as I was encouraging you to sit down and think about your life and any other places where this might show up, I actually thought of this Archangel card. Like, seriously, this card popped into my mind, and I had a vision of this card as I was encouraging you to do just this. Thank you, angels. So Archangel Jeremiah says, take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. So sit down and think about whether or not this pattern has shown up in your life, or honestly, the cards are really suggesting to me right now that yes, that this is something that has shown up for you in other areas of your life, Christine. And so to do that review of your life and to consider any other places where this has shown up and how this has looked for you in your life. You know, this challenge with setting up barriers, saying no, putting on other people's oxygen masks before putting on your own. So I encourage you to really do that thinking. Thank you, angels, for backing me up on that. And finally, so appropriate, Christine, the third and final card that came out for you with the Archangel cards is Relationship Harmony. Archangel Raguel says, we angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. Beautiful. Thank you, angels. Yes, Christine, trust and know that your angels, your guides are here to assist you with this. When you have these conversations with your friends, you are not going in alone. The universe has your back. Your guides are with you, your angels. Reiki is with you. Call upon Reiki. You may even want to send Reiki to the conversations that you have with your friends. Reiki is there to help you. So I encourage you to recognize that you've got lots of support and lots of help in having these conversations, but it's important for you to have these conversations. And when you do, I encourage you to approach them not from a place of fear, not from a place of judgment, but rather from a place of love and compassion, a place of releasing judgment of yourself and of your friends as well. So entering into these conversations from a place of self-love and love for your friends as well, compassion for yourself and your friends and this whole situation. It's not easy, Christine, and you have your angels, guides, and Reiki to support you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send Reiki right now to your Reiki journey. Send Reiki to your conversations with your friends, and send Reiki to the setting of healthy barriers and boundaries for yourself and for the good of all. Now, everyone listening, I am going to send Reiki to all of us for the setting of healthy barriers and boundaries, for our ability to say no, for recognizing when our barriers and boundaries have been crossed and transgressed, and for the ability to voice that. Now again, if you don't want the Reiki to go to you, don't worry, it won't. Reiki goes where it is welcome and needed. And so know that if you don't want the Reiki to go to you, it will not. Please join me in taking just a few deep cleansing breaths. There's the power of that breath. Thank you. So, Christine, as I sent Reiki, I had the beautiful image of a very strong tree with roots deeply rooted in the ground and very strong in the ground. And so I want to encourage you, Christine, as you consider these barriers and boundaries, and as you consider having these conversations with your friends, I want to encourage you to picture a very strong tree, deeply rooted, strongly rooted in the ground, and to draw upon the strength of the earth and to draw upon the strength of that deeply rooted tree to assist you with these challenging conversations. Be that tree when you have these conversations. Now, you know what's really interesting, Christine, is that a tree is deeply rooted in the ground. It has its roots, it's strong, it holds tight into that earth. But above ground, it is swaying in the wind. It is able to flex and flow with the wind, with the breeze, and to be flexible. And so recognize that as you set these boundaries, they may be very strong boundaries right now, and they may change, like I mentioned before, and that is okay. There is nothing wrong with you if your boundaries change. And so if you say to your friends, yes, I think 3 Reiki sessions on a Saturday feels comfortable to me, and then you find that it maybe doesn't feel so great, or maybe it's okay for a while and then it becomes too much, it is okay to set new boundaries. There is nothing wrong with you. You've done nothing wrong, and it only means that your experience is changing, it is flowing and growing. So just recognize and know that as we set boundaries, our boundaries change, and that is all okay and all part of our journey. So I send you, Christine, blessings and best wishes for your journey. I send all of us blessings and best wishes for our journeys. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ask the Stones. If you have a question for Ask the Stones, please send me an email at christian@standingstoneshealing.com or connect with me on Facebook at Standing Stones Healing. Thank you, and best wishes for your journey.